chapter, or one of the last chapters of your book, you talk about health savings accounts, and specifically on medical costs. What do you think? In my book, I wrote a chapter on HSAs, and I talk about a strategy of how to use them. And I think they're just an amazing tool. I wish more people would use them. So what is so good about an HSA?
The thing I love about an HSA is once you save that money, it goes into the account. It's yours.
Yeah.
And you can use it for medical expenses, but it stays yours. And also begins to bring home the idea of some relationship to cost.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now in our healthcare system now, we don't think about the cost.
No.
We go to the hospital, they say, do you want this or that or the other? We say, well,
Yeah,
sure,
sure.
yes, absolutely. Because there's no relationship to cost for us as insurance policy holders. The HSA, I think, get a major medical, which doesn't cover the smaller stuff down here. It covers the big stuff, not the smaller stuff. Then you invest in the HSA, that covers the smaller stuff, and you might actually ask, hey, Doc, how much is this going to cost?
Right, yeah. You'll care about pricing then. Yeah.
Because then you're spending your own money.
You got to write a check.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and you provide tax incentives to create the HSA. I think it's really, I would love to see, many times the government does not give the kind of incentives we need. I'd love to see every medical expense that's not covered by your insurance deductible off your income tax, everything, from premiums and all of these sorts of things. That would be a real boost, I think, to make it more attractive.
Yeah, I just think it's such an underutilized tool. I really don't understand why more people don't use it, because it's really just the best of both worlds. Money goes in tax-free, and then when you use it to pay for your medical expenses or to reimburse yourself for medical expenses, you get it out tax-free.
Exactly.
And so there's some strategies, like one of the strategies I talk about in my book is, if you can, and not everybody can do this, but if you can, put your money in your HSA and don't spend it out of the HSA. If you can, spend money out of your pocket to pay for your medical expenses, and then save your receipts for your expenses, and then you can reimburse yourself at any time in the future for your expenses.
Okay.
So it's there's all kinds of strategies you can use for that. So it can really become like another retirement fund for you.
The thing, it's in keeping with freedom too, because you are making some decisions.
Yeah.
The individual is making some decisions with their own money, and that's always superior to having someone else make a decision for you.
Yeah. That reminds me of Milton Friedman talking about the 4 ways you can spend money. You can spend your money on yourself. Okay. You can spend your money on somebody else. You can spend somebody else's money on yourself, or you can spend somebody else's money on somebody else.
Exactly.
And that's a declining incentive to do well with the money.
That's right. And anyone who's listening to this and has not read Free to Choose by Milton Friedman ought to do that. Even though it was written about 1979 or 80, it is still current today in so many respects.
Absolutely.
He was a good 25 to 40 years ahead of his time. One of the most brilliant people I've ever met.
And for those for maybe the millennials and the younger people, just get on YouTube and start looking for Milton Friedman and just go down that rabbit hole, because he's one of those rare intellectuals, I think, who was so personable. I mean, he's just a delight to listen to. I mean, I remember when I kind of started getting into this stuff 15 years ago or so, I would spend hours, watching Milton Friedman videos on YouTube and just watching him talk, because he made it easy to agree with him. And I think that's one of the things that's so lacking in our corporate dialogue today, is that we do not make it easy for people to agree with us. We set up egos.
Exactly.
We set up, we make people dig in, so like right now there's a thing, this is very timely, the whole mask debate, like, should we be wearing masks, should we not be wearing masks? Well, I mean, I think masks, it looks like to me from the data that masks help in a lot of situations. But if you make it about ego, if you make it about, if you don't wear a mask, you're stupid. Well, that's not going to help.
Exactly.
It's not going to help.
We're having fights in restaurants now. I had one over the weekend, and so that's there again. You get emotions get out of control.
Yeah. So I appreciate these kind of conversations we have, though we agree pretty much on everything, I think. But hopefully this will spur other people to think more about economics and how important it is. It's such an important thing.
It is, and economic policy is related to freedom, and it's important to understand that freedom is really the core of the United States of America. And when we move away from that, we have sacrificed some important principles.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Rankin, I very much appreciate you coming.
Thank you, Johnson.
I think it's been a good conversation. I think people will benefit from this greatly. And so for those of you who are watching, He wrote this book. It's what every American needs to know about economics. This stuff is important. And so where can they find this
Go
book?
to davidfrankin.com.
Okay.
And if you want it autographed, you just indicate that when you purchase the book, and I'll autograph it and send you a copy.
Great. Yeah, and it comes in, this is the hardback edition, and I'm going to get you to sign mine, I think, here in a minute.
Oh, absolutely.
But it comes in paperback, too?
It does not. Strictly
Oh, it's
hardback.
just hardback.
Right.
Okay, yeah. This is the nice one. Mine is just paperback. So maybe one day I'll get there to where I'll get
I think you can get it on Amazon in paperback, but I like the hardback so much.
Oh,
better. That's what we have.
Well, it's a great read, and I was telling him before, if you've got kids and you want them to have a good introduction to economics, I'm going to assign this book to all my kids to read, and I think they will very much enjoy reading this, because it's something. If everybody knew what's in this book, I think we'd be a whole lot better off as a nation.
A step in the right direction, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate it.
Yep.